Hey, how are you doing today? In this video, we're going to continue the series on the middle pillar path, and I want to open the video by discussing alchemy, or more so, Hermetic alchemy. Now, traditionally, alchemy was the practice of transmuting one element into another. For example, something like a piece of lead into a piece of gold. Now, Hermetic alchemy is attributed to a person named Hermes Trismegistus, who at the time he was alive was believed to be the reincarnation of an Egyptian deity called Thoth, or Thoth, who was the main mystic of the Egyptians, the record keeper. So, much like traditional alchemy, Hermetic alchemy is the same foundational idea, but in place of material elements, you're more so transposing celestial elements, mental elements, emotional elements, and sometimes even, the point to ultimately transpose your spirit element. So, how this process takes place, and if you remember at the end of the last video, I challenged you to go out and find the beauty in some kind of piece of nature. And if you did do the challenge and you succeeded in finding the beauty in something, for example, like the tree that I mentioned, congratulations. You have performed a version of Hermetic alchemy, and that makes you a Hermetic alchemist, especially if you continue to practice this practice. So what you've done is you've taken something very ordinary to the everyday person, like let's say this tree right here, and you took the time to connect with it, find its beauty, find your connection with it, and in doing so, you have transmuted your idea and your perception of a tree from, oh, that's ordinary, that's, typical, it's everywhere, to, wow, there is so much beauty in this thing. You've changed your perception, and in changing your perception, you've changed your emotional value in that situation or idea or concept. You have also, in turn, affected your own life. By participating in that process of Hermetic alchemy, you have sent a ripple of positivity, of something good, into your existence. So, the idea of discovering and walking this middle pillar path, your tool along the way is going to be the principle of Hermetic alchemy. As you encounter different situations, different people, different thoughts, different feelings along your journey, you're going to go through this process, much like with the tree, of trying to connect with it, trying to connect with the beauty within it. And in this process, you're going to be constantly creating more of an open mind for yourself. You're going to constantly be trying to look for that essence of beauty and the divine within everything that you encounter. And slowly over time, as you practice this, and it is a practice, it will take time to get out of your subconscious mind that's on cruise control, that wants to just react to everything around it, because our brain is somewhat like a programmable, situation. And after so many experiences, your brain learns, what may be the safest way, or the most self-preserving way to react in order to protect the small self or the ego. So in committing to this practice, you have to really pay attention to your thoughts. You have to really pay attention to your thoughts, and it does take a lot of practice. You have to monitor yourself in all situations. And if you get the intuition that, hey, I'm walking into a situation, I think this is going to put a stumbling block in my journey, that's your intuition telling you, hey, you've been studying, you've been practicing, and now it's time for a pop quiz. Let's see if you can put into practice in a real situation the things that you've learned. And that's an opportunity. And I tell you what, if you succeed in those small opportunities, you're going to feel yourself growing spiritually. And in this growth, you're going to be taking the inner self and making it more than the small self, more than the ego. A lot of us don't realize it, and it's quite hard for us to admit it, but our ego is in control most of the time. Our ego is keen on protecting the small self, self-preservation. And understanding your connection with the divine and everything around you, there's a vulnerability that comes along with that notion. And there's also an emotional vulnerability that you will feel physically. And it does take time to get to the point to where you feel like, okay, this is a safe feeling. And that's part of the process. It's part of this journey. So what I challenge you to do in this video is to monitor your thoughts in every new encounter, or in every new thought encounter as well. Monitor yourself, catch yourself saying, oh, this notion was already there. Okay, I want to rediscover this thing that I'm thinking about, or this thing that I'm saying. And take the time to think about it. And try to connect with the beauty. Acknowledge this thing is a part of everything. It's, it's connected. Where can I find the beauty in this? Where can I find the essence of the divine in this situation? Work really hard to create new perceptions by vulnerability and deep thought and trust. Trust that in doing this process and this practice, that you really are on the journey of trying to better know and understand this divine So I challenge you to do that. The next time, and this could happen quite quickly in life, but the next time that someone brings up something that's, awful or damaging or hard, especially if they're talking about someone else's situation, or maybe if they're belittling them or just kind of dragging them a little bit. Put this Hermetic Alchemy into practice. Search your heart. Search that. Go to that divine source inside of you and say, hey, where do we start with this? And the answer is going to be, compassion. And, that's, if you can't find the beauty in it, you got to find the beauty in yourself to be able to show compassion on situations and people. This Hermetic Alchemy also falls into the subject of doing shadow work, which was popularized by a psychiatrist named Carl Jung. And in doing this shadow work, from my understanding, is let's use an example. So let's say there's a church, and in this church they practice the being saved and backsliding version of religion that's become somewhat popular in our modern day. So in participating in that practice, the person knows that they've done something wrong or something that has offended their own self. And when that happens, actually, it's an acknowledgement that you have done something that has offended the divine within you. So they know that that has happened. They acknowledge it. And instead of confronting the issue, instead of going beyond acknowledgement and stepping into the accountability, basically they say, okay, my deity has forgiven me. And it's a very strange phenomenon that the very people around that person will say, oh yeah, they've forgiven you. And, I forgive you for this sin. I don't really feel like, in my personal opinion, much is accomplished in that practice. And I also feel like maybe it borderlines enabling to not change, enabling to not look within, instead to look above, and you have to go within because that divine source is within you. And enabling to not do the shadow work, to not confront the worst parts of yourself, to not have the awareness or the sense of accountability to say, hey, I have to own this. These are my thoughts. These are my actions. This is my behavior. And to do the work, to go within and do the work to heal yourself. To heal yourself. And to transmute that negative situation that has plagued you, claimed itself to you, into something that you've gotten control of, actually had control of. And the lessons that you learn from that, and how you spiritually evolve by going through this process. So there are a lot of elements to Hermetic Alchemy. And I implore you to look into it. Look into it. In the next video, we're going to jump into the first of the two pillars. And like I said, I challenge you to, next time some negative situation, whether it's something you see on social media, something that someone says, I challenge you to practice this process of Hermetic Alchemy and transmute these pre-programmed notions of how you should think or feel or react to that thing, and search yourself within and acknowledge in that moment, there's a piece of the divine in me. How, if I'm combined with it, how should I really look at this situation? Well, that's all I have for today, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And thank you for stopping in. It means a lot to me.